Hello everyone, it's the Actual Shifter here, and I am back with the next Multiverse Wars episode. Episode number 71, the start of a brand new era, or at least kind of season you could say for this kind of show, because yeah. But anyways, today we're going to be discussing an indie game fight, the one that I've actually latched onto the most, and I think is the most interesting. We have the Knight versus Ori. Hollow Knight versus Ori and the Blind Forest. Two indie game characters are ones that are fairly maybe obscure, you could say. Not really as well known as the bigger ones like Undertale or FNAF, but they're still amazing games in their own right. And the characters are really cool as well. But today, we're going to be seeing who would win in a fight between them. Let's go. The Knight is a playable character of Team Cherry's hit indie game, Hollow Knight. Their species was actually created as vessels by the Pale King to carry the infection spread by the Radiance, and many details about the character, including their name, are left really unknown in general, though it is more likely that they don't exactly have a name, and as all the vessels except for one are considered impure by the King, and are left to rot and die in the abyss. But however, the Knight and some of his other siblings did manage to escape. But now, let's discuss his powers, abilities, and feats. When it comes to AP and durability, the Knight should scale from around small building level at a low end, considering that he fought and defeated the False Knight, a character who can collapse and destroy the floor of his arena in his boss fight of the game. He can also harm Hornet, who tanked an explosion that yielded over 65.25 megajoules, which the Knight should scale to. But you could put him even higher than this, as he killed the Absolute Radiance and destroyed all of Godhome, who is more powerful than any other boss in the game. So at a high end, the Knight should scale from at least large building to even multi-city block level in terms of attack potency, strength, and durability. Now as for speed, the Knight can slash faster than Lumaflies, and Lumaflies are creatures that can inject electricity, or at least project it outwards. So this should put him at around hypersonic ranges in terms of combat speed anyway, but he is faster thanks to a little power-up you can say called the Sprint Master, which can increase his running speed. Next is intelligence, and the Knight has known and shown to be a great fighter or combatant when fighting the enemies and bosses of his verse, and he has also experienced fighting several other characters like Hornet and the Nail Masters. He can also master new techniques and spells with little practice. Now for hacks and abilities, and the Knight has quite a lot actually. First, we have the Void Heart. This unifies the Void under the bearer's will, which makes shades and creatures of the Void non-hostile and really non-damaging, so yeah. Then we have the Lumafly Lantern, which is a crystal lantern containing a Lumafly. This can brighten dark caverns so it can easier to see everything. The King's Brand. This marks the bearer as a king, and the Hollowness's ancient places shall open before it. Then there's the Hunter's Mask, which is the mark of a true hunter. And then there's the Tram Pass, where a lifetime pass to the tramways connecting parts of the Hollow Nest. And this passes costs a huge amount of geo, and each purchase required an authorization by the king. Next, we have his nail weapons. The old nail is a more traditional weapon, which is pretty much just a normal blade. The sharpened nail is another weapon that is even sharper. Then the channel nail is a cleft weapon that can pretty much do more damage. Then the coiled nail, Dream Nail, is a more powerful weapon and is refined beyond all others. Then the Pure Nail is the ultimate nail, which is crafted to perfection in order to reveal its true form. The Dream Nail is one that can cut through the veil between dreams and waking, which allows the Knight to enter the minds of dreamers and read the thoughts of NPCs, corpses, and even statues, and can even drain the essence from other opponents. Then his other nails and items include the Mothwing Cloak, the Mantis Claw, Crystal Heart, Monarch Wings, Innsma's Tear, the Shade Cloak, and then there's the charms, which include the Wayward Compass, Gathering Swarm, Stalwart Shell, Soul Catcher and Soul Eater, Shaman Stone, the Dash Master, the Thorns of Agony, Fury of the Fallen, fragile of the unbroken and unbreakable heart, the fragile and unbreakable greed, fragile the unbreakable strength, hive blood, sharp shadow, dream shield, and yeah, those are all the items which include. A lot of them make him go faster, make him have a really double or triple jump, and yeah, just make him stronger and way harder to hit in terms of combat. But despite all the things going for him, he still does have weaknesses. Firstly, he is unable to attack while healing himself from damage, plus soul is consumed while healing, and if interrupted, it will be lost. And if a shade is unexposed to light, it will be unable to manifest though, but he did lose his weakness once he became the Lord of Shades. But overall, the Knight isn't just a vessel, he's the storm that broke the cycle. Ori is the spirit guardian and the main character of the Ori game series. He was originally separated from the spirit tree, and this is the start of a chain reaction that would eventually cause the force to become corrupted and blind. Now on to powers, abilities, and feats. Ori once created an explosion that has been calculated to around 13.681.680 joules, which is around wall level, but his AP and durability can be scaled even higher since with the Seer, because he defeated the Shriek, which is the final boss of Will of the Wisps, the other game in the series. So at his peak, he should be around small building level at the very highest, at his power anyways, at least in terms of those two things. And as for speed, Ori can keep up with and dodge attacks from an owl, and that owl can reach speeds up to 40 miles per hour, and can also dodge attacks from Kulawuk, who can shoot homing missiles from his mouth. Ori can also use different weapons and multiple of them without any problems, and he also has a lot of experience fighting a lot of the enemies within the Ori universe, like Howl, Mora, and even Shriek. And now for his other powers and abilities, or hacks as you could say. First we have the Soul Link. Ori can create a Soul Link, which is a blue flame that heals some of his energy, and it allows him to repair or at least heal himself anyway if he almost dies, or at least can revive if he dies. Then we have the Light Burst, where Ori can cast a blue spear of light into the air, and there's the wall jump where he can just lump off jumps, and then jump off of walls, what the fuck? Then we have the double jump where he can just double jump in the air. Then we have the charge jump where a burst of energy is released under the feet of him. Then we have the stomp, the climb, dash, grapple, the swim dash. He can breathe underwater, can burrow through sand and snow, and can the flap. It allows Ori to use Kuro's feather to blow away objects in a gust of wind. Then there's the glide, where he once again uses Kuro's feather to slowly drift into the ground. The spirit edge allows Ori to attack at close range with a blade of light. The spike allows him to throw a powerful spear of light. The spirit smash allows him to create a construct of a light hammer, a hammer made of light, and allows him to pound foes and stuff and crush them with it. Then we have the Spirit Star, where Ori can throw a star-shaped weapon that returns it back to it, pretty much like a boomerang. And then we have the Light Burst, where he can exert or at least blast an explosive spear of light. Ori can also regenerate from any wounds that it gets by healing them thanks to his channel energy ability. Then the Blaze creates an explosion that can set nearby enemies on fire. The Flash can allow Ori to create an aura of light that causes damage to enemies within the aura. And then we have the Sentry, which allows him to summon a spirit orb that can attack enemies. Then the Launch allows him to turn himself to a projectile and launch himself really fast. The Ancestral Light, whereas in Ori's attacks are permanently increased by 25%. Once again, the Spirit Flame allows him to shoot several flames in rapid succession. Then the Charge Flame allows him to detonate, charge up until it detonates and damages anything within its radius, or at least in his. But now his weaknesses. For the most part, most of Ori's weapons and powerful abilities, as well as his regeneration, can still take this energy from him. So yeah, if he does use enough of his regeneration and powers and shit, then this energy will be drained and eventually he will run out of stamina and just get tired and, kind of stopped really fighting because he's tired and weakened and stuff, thanks to that. But if he uses this like wisely and stuff, he can still be a dangerous threat and it's not be played with. So overall, Ori is still no pushover at all, and even the smallest spark of light can still outshine the deepest darkness. But now that we have discussed both of these characters, it's time we talk about who would actually win this fight. Now, both these guys do have a ton of powers and abilities and are highly skilled fighters and have defeated the most powerful enemies in their games, but in the end, I would have to say that the Knight would be the winner of this battle, and I will tell you why. For starters, the Knight is way stronger than Ori because he scales to characters who have multi-city block levels at the highest level of power, whereas Ori really only scales to around building level at his highest peak. So clearly the Knight has an advantage in terms of strength and durability. Next is speed, and the Knight has hypersonic levels of speed since he can react to Lumaflies and pretty much scales to them. And also, he also scales to the Spirit Master and stuff, and the Dash Master can increase his speed and mobility. Plus, the Crystal Heart allows for faster traversal, so the Knight also has an advantage in speed over Ori, because Ori really only scales to the Owl 40-mile-per-hour feats. And while he does have his grapple and launch and the burrow, it still won't be really enough to keep up with the Knight, or at least not forever anyway. Also, the Knight is way more experienced and a better fighter than Ori, as he fought gods and other warriors, and as well as other divine dream beings. He also adapts to more powerful opponents quickly and can learn new abilities almost instantly, so Ori is really not that impressive and combatant when compared to him. But now for hacks and abilities, I would say these two are actually pretty close, and I would say it's a tie on whether they two have better powers and hacks or really equipment or gear that they can use. The Knight has his Shade Cloak and the Sharp Shadow, which can pretty much allow him to phase and dodge and pretty much attack enemies as well as damaging them at the same time, and as well as the charms like the Unbreakable Strength, the Hive Blood, and the Thorns of Agony, as well as the Shaman's Stone, and upon also pretty much all offer defense and offense, and as well as regeneration boosts. Also, Ori's light-based attacks as well can summon fire-based range attacks and can create the Light Hammer construct. And he can release a wide burst of energy that could pretty much attack anyone in his range. So, yeah. But I would still have to say that the Knight would still beat Ori for a few more reasons. Firstly, the Knight can still be overwhelmed and be unable to attack while healing during the fight, really, and it does require Soul to cast or at least heal himself. However, it doesn't actively take his energy away from him, unlike Ori, who whenever he uses his powers and attacks, it drains power from him and therefore energy, and once again, stamina, like I said in his section. So overall, Ori is strong and powerful in his own right, but the Knight does have still greater strength, speed, and combat experience. So, even then, even the brightest light still casts a shadow. The winner is the Knight.